Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone to the May 9th meeting of the Sturbridge Planning Board. The first item will be to approve the minutes of March 28th and April 11th. After that, we have a request for an approval not required for 235 and 237 and 241 Podunk Road. At 6:35, we'll have a continuation of a public hearing for Blueberry Hills Estates, site plan and special permit. And at 6:45, we will have a request for a waiver of site plan for Marlene Rufail, 29 to 31 Brookfield Road. Following that, we'll have town planner update, old and new business, and then adjournment. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes of March 28th? Any questions, comments? Motion to approve is submitted.
So moved.
Second.
We do have one member who's remote, so we'll do this by roll call. Jeff, how do you vote?
Yes.
Fred?
Yes.
Yes.
I vote yes.
Yes. Yes.
Dan votes yes. And Mike?
I believe I have an abstention.
Okay, one abstention. Very good. We also have minutes from the April 11th meeting, a rather short meeting that we had. Has everyone had any opportunity to review it? Motion to approve as submitted? Ollie, great.
Second.
Sue, second. Any other discussion? Dane, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ollie? Yes. I vote yes.
Yes.
Sue? Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Mike?
Another abstention.
Okay, very good. Okay, Jean, do you want to go over that A&R?
Yes. So Dave Brunel is here with us this evening, and this is for a plan of land on Podunk Road. And the board will recall, it wasn't that long ago that you endorsed an A&R for several lots on Podunk Road, and Mr. Brunel has built a couple of houses, one at 241 and then at 233. He still owns 235 and 237 and is planning to build homes there. Once the wetlands were delineated, it was determined that lot 237R, as shown on the plan, actually before the revision, did not meet the upland requirement of the Conservation Commission. So this plan is showing the redivision of this land to, he's purchasing a small piece from 241, the house that he's already conveyed, that little kind of triangular piece there. And then if you look between 235 and 237, you see where it says old lot line. So the lot line's being shifted slightly to provide 237 with the percent of upland that he needs to be able to get approved through Conservation Commission for the construction of a single-family home. So all of the lots retain the required frontage. So since the frontage requirements are met, I recommend the board endorse the plan submitted.
Very good. Does anyone have any questions or comments? No.
I had a quick question.
Sure.
The remaining lot 235R still has enough upland land?
Yes.
Good, thank you.
Very good. Can we have a motion then to endorse the plan?
So moved. I'll second that.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Again, roll call vote. Dean?
Yes.
Yes.
I vote yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
And Mike?
Yes.
Great.
So can you sign so that Dave could take the Mylar with him?
Very good.
Dave, just be careful this doesn't smudge on your way out. I'm sorry. Here, we'll flip them. May 9th, yeah. Is that marker dying? No. Oh, okay. Here you go, Dave. Dave, I'm gonna give you one of these paper copies back with the signature. There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, well, it's 6:35, so we will open the continuation of the public hearing on Blueberry Hills Estates for a site plan and special permit. Okay, do you want to give an introduction?
Yes. So as you know, this project's been going on for actually a little bit over a year now. And planning board's really been done with the applicant for quite some time, but there have been some review issues with Conservation Commission due to the presence of some vernal pools. So the applicant's been working to move the development and the proposed homes out of the buffer zones with conservation. So because we are having a turnover on the board in another couple of weeks, it's necessary that we vote. Normally, I would try to wait for conservation to be done. However, it does not appear that any of the roadways will change as a result of any changes the Conservation Commission may require, if they require any additional ones. So at this point, Pete Engel and Justin Stelmach are here to go over they have a very brief PowerPoint to point out the changes that they've made. And I am ready to recommend approval with conditions. You've all had the conditions for probably about 6 months now.
Yeah.
We did amend one condition, condition number 9, to clarify what was required for monitoring for the pump stations based on discussions with our current DPW director, Heather Blakely. So I have also spoken to Rebecca Gendro, the conservation agent, and she concurs that we would not expect any changes to roadway layout. So I'm comfortable with asking you to close out this public hearing after you've finished taking the testimony this evening, and I'm recommending approval of the project with conditions.
Very good, thank you.
And Pete, I'll give you a printer. Yep, that works.
Thank
There
you.
you go.
Want to walk through, or do you want me to?
Just let us know
Go
if
ahead.
you need us to change things.
Yep. Good evening.
Good evening.
Again.
Good evening.
So yeah, just a quick PowerPoint. I think there's 4 slides in there, the changes that we've made since we were in January. So the first one, Unit 70, this is, there we go. So the Berry Farms Road is down here. This is the entrance of our roadway coming in. So these are the first few lots. We shifted Unit 70 2 feet, 3 feet forward, essentially just to get this little corner out of the 200-foot vernal pool buffer. This orange line here on both plans represents that 200-foot vernal pool buffer. So you can see we shifted it just forward enough to get that structure out of that buffer zone.
Okay.
Next slide, please. This is a little bit further down the roadway, just after the habitat corridor, which is right about here as you're coming down the straightaway. Again, orange line is the 200-foot vernal pool buffer. Green line is the 100-foot wetland buffer. So we have reversing the orientation of Unit 65. Original one, garage was on the right-hand side when you're in the roadway. Now it's on the left. That was to reduce the amount of structure within the 200-foot vernal pool buffer. Also shrunk Unit 65 and 64 by 2 feet, 4 feet? 4 feet. 4 feet to pull those structures out of the 100-foot wetland buffer. This is the cul-de-sac of Road B, which is the first cul-de-sac on the left. Original plan here, green line again, 100-foot wetland buffer. Orange line, the 200-foot vernal pool buffer. So in the revised plan, we removed lot 56. The rain garden, which in the original plan is this long area here, has been shifted in place of that. That was, and then also on Unit 57, this corner was in the 200-foot vernal pool buffer. After Pete redid all the grading, we ended up shrinking Unit 57 as well to keep that out of the 200-foot vernal pool buffer. Like keeping this grading, there was also on the original plan, this was a retaining wall, which the Conservation Commission wasn't too fond of retaining walls around the vernal pools. So this change again allowed us to regrade everything naturally and get rid of that wall. With the 100-foot wetland buffer, original plan, you can see Unit 55, 54, and 53 were all at least partially in that buffer. We reduced 55 and 53. 55 obviously quite a bit, got rid of the garage. 53, again, just shortened it slightly to get those 2 units out of the 100-foot wetland buffer and reduce those impacts. And then last slide, please. This is Road D, which is the cul-de-sac up on the right. Original plan, we had Unit 20 and 21. For some reason, maybe I forgot to put it on, but the 200-foot vernal pool buffer line is right here. So those units were, the majority of them were in that 200-foot vernal pool buffer. Also, on-site existing grade, you can see how it's pretty steep here. Again, a retaining wall was here. So we shrunk these 2 units to reduce the impervious surface in the 200-foot vernal pool buffer. Also allowed us to pull that steep slope and that grading back. So now we're only grading, I think it's about 6 feet. Where over here, we were 8 to 10 feet and then a small retaining wall. So to, again, help reduce the impact within the 200-foot vernal pool buffer.
Very good. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, does anyone on the board have any questions or comments? Dane? Nope. Wally? No.
I just have a question. How many lots did you lose to housing?
4. We started at 71, we're at 67 right.
Okay. And when you say you were able to change the size of these units, is that going to make a big difference in how it presents itself, the whole development?
It could, to be honest, and not 100% sure, because way back when, all of, like, this unit here, for example, this is the biggest unit we could build, 28 by 56 with a 2-car garage option. We put that on every lot to begin with.
Right.
Because we have to plan our stormwater as if it was built out with the most impervious surface. All actuality, will that happen? Not sure. I mean, definitely losing garages, sure, that could impact marketing potentially. We won't know until we hopefully start building, to see what the demand really is. I know several people I've talked to over the last year, most people are interested in a garage. So that's about all I could go off of right now.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
Brad?
No questions, it's time.
Jeff?
No questions.
Okay, anyone in the public have any comments or questions?
Mike?
Charlie, Mike?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mike?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. Anyone in the public? All set? We have a motion then to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Wally?
Second?
Okay. A vote on that, Dane?
Yes.
Wally, you vote yes?
Yes.
I vote yes. You vote yes? You abstain,
Pat,
right?
abstain, yeah.
And Jeff?
Yes.
And Mike?
Yes.
Okay, great. Jean, do you want to go over the conditions and we'll,
So, yes, so actually you have several votes that you need to take.
okay,
So
good.
the first, if you remember, there were a couple of waivers required. And so the first one was a waiver from section 199-6, subparagraph B, item 11. And that was that the landscape plan be stamped by a certified landscape architect. And we had talked about that way on in the process, and the board had agreed that wasn't needed. So that would be one waiver. And the second was to the subdivision regulations, chapter 350, section 350.4-5, subparagraph B, and that was that grass plots be provided on the side of the sidewalks, and because we're using rain gardens for the stormwater management, it wasn't practical. And so we had also discussed that early on. So I think the board should take a vote to grant those 2 waivers as requested.
Okay. Do we have a motion to grant the 2 waivers as described?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Second, Wally. Any other discussion on it? All in favor? Roll call?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Abstain.
Yes.
And Mike?
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes.
All right. And then the next is to approve the special permit and site plan approval with conditions. And the conditions are provided starting on page 11. And they are, I don't know if you need me to read these again, they haven't changed.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so they're conditions number 1 through 28. So it would be to approve the special permit and site plan approval to construct a manufactured housing community at Lot 3, Berry Farms Road, in accordance with the plans and specifications provided. And you'll also note that I did add one condition that requires the applicant to bring back a new set of plans if there are, I added number 23, and that's the one I will read. If there are any revisions to the plan during the Conservation Commission review process, a final plan set shall be provided to the planning board, and this shall become the plan of record and final approved plan for this project. So that was the only one that I added. So I would recommend that you approve special permit and site plan requested with the 28 conditions as proposed.
Very good. Do we have a motion to that effect? So moved.
Second,
Okay. Any discussion?
yes. I'm probably, we are all familiar with this, and I'm sure you've had a chance to go over it with Jean,
Yes. Yep.
and so you're comfortable with all the conditions?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll say.
Great. Any other discussion or comments? No? Roll call vote then. Jane?
Yes.
Wally? Yes. I vote yes.
Yes.
Yes. You abstaining?
Yes.
Yep. Yes. Mike?
Yes.
Okay. Very good.
All right. So I think, Michael, you need to leave us now. Michael's at a work function right now.
Okay. Thank you very much
So-
for joining us, Mike. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if this may be Michael's last meeting with us, so Michael and Jeff are leaving us, so thank you for your service.
Thank you very much. We've
serving.
all enjoyed working with you. Thank you
Yes.
very, very much.
Yes.
Yeah, if our next meeting is in 2 weeks, I'll definitely be there.
Okay, great,
Great.
thank you.
Very good. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
All set?
All set. Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much for your time.
Appreciate
Congratulations.
patience.
Thank you.
Good luck with the project. I'm sure it'll do well.
You're welcome.
Okay, next we have a waiver of site plan approval. Marlene Rufail, 29 to 31 Brookfield Road.
I'm just, I clipped it here. So filling in this evening is Bashir Ada. He is one of the partners that owns this property. So this is the property on Brookfield Road that you'll recall the board had approved this location to be a new pizza restaurant and office space, and the apartment would remain upstairs. Last year, that was amended to allow downstairs to be occupied by Premier Restorations. They're over by Enrico's right now in the boardwalk. And then most recently, we noticed that there was a fence being erected and Colonial Restorations was moving in. So after receiving the call, I went out there with Nelson Burlingame, our zoning enforcement officer, and we thought it was best to have them come in and just kind of clean up the permitting. So what they're doing is fine. Colonial Restorations is renting a small office space on the first floor where Premier is. And then if you've been by there, you've noticed they've put up a fence, and that is to enclose the large beams that he uses in his restoration work. And then he's also renting the garage. So he will have his trucks parked there in the evening. In the morning, his employees will come, get in their trucks and leave. And Premier will occupy the remainder of the space. So there is a revised site plan and a revised floor plan. Also, Rebecca Gendro, our conservation agent, did go out to the site and ask that these boulders be placed in two locations, one toward kind of the triangular part to the rear in the gravel parking area, and here behind the fence, which you can't see now. And that's because there are wetlands back there, just to prevent people from, backing or parking too close to the wetland area. So with this, the building will be fully occupied. Will be a rather large office and showroom space when they're done. And Bashir, I'm not sure if the smaller side was the office and the larger side was the showroom. I just talked to you property, but
I don't think they have decided yet which site they're gonna use for what.
Okay.
But I would assume the bigger side, the 3,500 square feet, will be used as a showroom and their offices, and the other side will be, like, they can store their stuff in there, or they can put more office spaces.
And then this small rectangular area here is the office that Colonial Restorations is
Yeah, the smallest one, it's
renting.
about
Yeah.
10 by 10, 10 by 12, yeah.
So and this is a good example of kind of a homegrown business. He started working out of his house, he started getting larger, so he needed space in the commercial district,
Great.
so.
Nice. Good.
So I recommend that you waive the site plan approval with the new tenants and the same conditions as prior, that he obtain all necessary state and local building permits. And any sign permits go through the design review committee process.
Very good. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, we're just happy that it's finally fully occupied.
I bet.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I'm also excited to see this building come to life, and I'm happy to have you here. I just was wondering if we can have, it looks like there's two separate properties, there's no A and R, and we have parking spaces that straddle the property line. Is that legitimate?
Yeah, because it's historically been there, so yes, it's two, they've merged for the purposes of zoning, but the owner doesn't necessarily need to combine them unless they want to. A lot of times, I think it makes sense to, from a tax purpose, but,
I was just wondering, not to push this towards an A and R, which I agree isn't necessary unless the owner wants it, but can those parking spaces be counted towards required parking if they're straddling a property line like that? And I guess my other question is, we didn't see like a parking usage calculation. I'm assuming we're all just saying it's okay?
no, I had the parking calculations in my report.
Okay, I'm sorry I missed that.
Yeah, so
it's at
it is,
42.
yeah.
But I guess that's what I'm saying, like, do they all need to be on that one lot? Because if it, in my experience, when I'm doing this around other municipalities, if it was divided in half by a property line, I don't get to count them. If we can do that in Sturbridge, I just want to discuss that.
No, if it were a new property and a new approval, you're absolutely right, you would not be able to, but this was a market from way back, and it's always been the two parcels.
We'll call it existing
So,
non-conforming,
we
and they
call
can be
it,
applied.
Merger of substandard lots is actually what we call it, so.
Excellent. Good.
For the purposes of zoning, so,
Thank you for bringing that up. Very good.
and that's why you'll see we use both addresses when we do their approval as
Absolutely.
well.
And then that's the garage, that rectangle back there?
Yes, the garage and the fence, and these two are where the trucks are parking, the
Those are two truck parking
two truck
spaces?
parking spaces.
And then it's empty in front of the garage, 'cause obviously you need access for that.
Right.
But then there's like a, I don't know, 80-foot wide curb cut kind of between the boulders and the parking spaces. Is there any way we could make that a little more contained, so we don't just have like 80 feet of people driving onto 148? Am I wording that poorly?
No, you're not, I know.
Typically,
I know-
we have closed driveways.
Right, typically we
defined
do.
driveway.
This entire site is wide open.
And I know that
Yeah.
there's a conversation about paving as well, which I'm not trying to make this part of that conversation. I see people regularly a little confused because there's cars that park right now that point out towards 148,
The road, yeah.
which is fine. But I feel like people are always like, are those cars about to pull out? So the traffic on 148 is reacting to those parked cars up along 148, because that's kind of a non-standard condition along that road. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know in this configuration, those cars probably wouldn't be there. But similarly, I'm thinking maybe it's not the best that we have a 100-foot wide curb cut. So operationally, if you could all just kind of aim towards that delineated driveway area, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Okay. Thank you. That's
We
all I
can
have.
talk to him and tell him that eventually. I mean, it shouldn't be an issue. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you'll just need to work with Becky, because anything you do back here on the gravel area will require conservation approval, which is why they didn't incorporate that into the paving
Well, that's why
last
we
year.
said
I'm not
We're
even
gonna-
sure if we need to physically do anything as much as just
Just
I think
Yeah,
what
we're-
you're
let
actually
yeah.
doing.
acknowledge it, or
Yeah,
maybe
That's
put,
the way it's been since it was a market, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
and if this were a new site plan application, which we're all trying to make it not become in the effort of helping a small business, we would absolutely be closing that up with curb cuts, so, I think this is fine. Maybe add more boulders in the future, but that might become an access problem for the garage. That's my comment. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions? I think we already have a motion to approve, to waive the
Did you
site
have a
plan.
motion? No,
You
no
have a
motion.
Okay.
I motion to approve,
To waive the site plan.
to waive the site plan. Second.
Dane,
Are we voting or am I seconding?
well, you're seconding,
I put forward the motion.
And I will second it.
okay, great. Any other discussion? If not, Dane?
Yes.
Yes.
I vote yes.
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 Jeff? And Mike? Still
He's
here?
off.
Great, okay, we're all set.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Good
you.
luck with it, sounds great. Okay, next we have the town planner update.
On that one, so, yep. So I sent you another report, I think Friday maybe. Only because I didn't have a chance to put my update items in the original report that went out. So this past Friday, I went out to Pop Plaza at One River Road. In the Chamber of Commerce, you might not be aware, but OFS Vital has asked that they vacate the property on Hall Road. The two tenants that were there needed to find new locations. They are actually planning to demolish that building eventually.
Which
And there's the red building that's there, and the Antiques Journal has an office there, and the Chamber of Commerce has an office.
Oh, in the red
And
building.
they've decided they don't really want to be landlords, so I'm currently working with Habitat for Humanity, and they might be able to either disassemble and use part of it, or they're looking actually maybe at lifting and moving the home someplace. So we're trying to see if we can make that work with their timing. I'm not sure, but in the meantime, people need to leave, so the chamber actually is looking at, there's like a small cabin on the One River Road property that most recently, I would say, was occupied by Mass DOT, and that was quite some time ago when they were doing the highway project. So it's pretty dated inside, so they need to put some new flooring and some paint on the walls, and they need to, the building inspector went out there this afternoon and let them know what they need to do for hand railings and fix the handicap ramp and things like that. But they're planning to go in there, and if they are able to lease this space, they would also reactivate the visitor center, and they would have the town brochures and things in there, and they would create a weatherproof rack that could go out on the little covered porch. So if people are getting off of 84 on the weekends, they could stop and pick up trails maps or other brochures for things in the town. So they don't, all of the parking is sufficient. All of the buildings were included with the initial site plan. And actually, I took a photo, which I did not print, but I went there Friday, and I expected to see a lot more cars than I did, but there were only 4 cars in the parking lot. A couple of people had picked up and dropped off during that time, but I think it's really quick in and out, people that are dropping their pets off for, to stay there for a little while. So it seems like a good use, a good way to preserve that building instead of, right now, it's just kind of in disrepair. Nothing's been in it for some time. And
Is that what?
Brown building.
No,
No,
it's
it's the
actually
little
the first
square
one as you
one.
come in, it's like a little, it's got a little porch in front of it, or it had a porch. Still have the
there
porch?
still has a porch,
Yeah.
yeah.
Used to be a farm stand, well, not really a farm stand, but John Rouse and his wife used to run a
Yeah.
farm stand out of that.
And then when I
Near
first
the
started
pet-
here, there was a,
It's right in front of it, so you got
Yeah.
where pause is there.
Yeah.
As you come in, it's on the right-hand side.
On the
The
other
other-
side of River Road.
Well, it's right on the same parking lot as
Okay,
Paz Plaza.
okay, so it's on the right up there.
Yeah, it used to, there were
I
3
thought it was
buildings in,
around
Hemus was there, there was
Oh.
the round building, and then this other one in front.
Okay.
it was a retail shop when I first started working here. They had some clothes, they would hang
Oh,
like clothing
okay.
racks and things outside. That was a
Pretty
long time
rustic, as you
ago.
said.
Yeah, it is pretty rustic. It does, I mean, it has, bathroom facilities and everything in it, so,
Okay,
so,
so they're gonna freshen it
Not-
up.
yeah, it really just needs some freshening up. It'll be nice to see it cleaned up and painted.
Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
definitely,
So-
that's great.
But it's kind of cute because it's just like a little old cabin there. so-
Will it
So they don't
impede
need
on the
anything
pet
from us
place?
other than just. being
No,
aware
I
of
just
it.
wanted to
Good.
update you,
Yep,
so if you
that's
see
great.
anything going on there, that's what's going on. And then I just wanted to let you know the public hearing for the renovations and the addition to the senior center will be on June 27th. It's been through design review. We have a public hearing with Zoning Board of Appeals on May 16th, and then there's also a meeting with the Conservation Commission, I think, at its next meeting, I believe. May 31st.
For
conservation. Oh, May 31st for ZBA, that's right. They didn't put the ad in the paper, so we couldn't have it on that day. It will be May 31st.
Right.
And then just a couple of site issues with some ongoing projects. Noble Energy, there was a lot of dust. I mean, it's been really, really dry despite, I mean, we did have some rain last week, so I did reach out to them, and they did bring a water truck on site, and they did some extra sweeping in the roadway, so they were responsive to that. And then Interstate Towing, just the opposite. We had some mud out in the road, so asked them to extend the tracking pad, and they've done some cleanup out there as well. And then, as I noted earlier, this potentially the last meeting for Michael and for Jeff. I know the town administrator has been advertising, and I believe that she has an abundance of applicants. I think she even had leftover applicants from when Brad was appointed to the board. There were a lot of applicants at that time, so I did let her know it's imperative that people be appointed by June 18th when the terms expire, so thank you. Jeff's going to be busy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm becoming a parent of 3 overnight
Yes.
from one, so
Congratulations.
that's the principal reason I wish I could.
I didn't want to give that news. That was your news to give, so.
That's exciting.
Very good.
You're going to have to jump to zone defense.
I'm going to join the zoning board of appeals.
So, and then, so Jeff is our CMRPC rep, so if you could all be thinking about who might want to take that role on. They have started doing some of their meetings in person, but still a lot of them are virtual still. So just to kind of keep that in mind. So far, we have nothing filed for May 23rd. June 5th is the annual town meeting. We do have the flood zone changes on the warrant, so if you can attend, please do. We have nothing for June 13th. I am on vacation that week. Not that you can't meet without me, but just letting you know I am on vacation. And then June 27th, we'll have the senior center project, so. And then July and August, we'll see what is coming in, and maybe we can do one meeting in July and one in August, depending on what comes in. I expect property across from Cracker Barrel will be filing something sometime this summer. It's under agreement to purchase now, so.
And do you know what's planning to come in?
Yes, a medical office and a coffee shop is about all I can say at this point. So, they should have been filed with conservation already. They didn't get proper owner authorization to file the application, which is why I'm reluctant to say who the named names are, but in another week, I should be able to send you all an email.
Great.
And I'm sure you can guess. So.
Very good.
Okay, and is the ice cream place still coming to Noble?
Yes, it is.
And what's the name of it?
Frisbees.
Okay,
Yeah, it's his ice cream brand.
okay, good.
And we're still working with DOT on that. They still don't have an access permit. They still don't have an access permit to tie into the water and sewer. So we are working on that, so.
Is that the town?
No, has nothing to do with the town. We're not
Water
really,
and sewer with the state?
well, they have to access it through the state highway, so they need an access permit. We're trying to get to the bottom of it all, but this is very unusual. We've never seen this happen, ever. So,
New people responsible for the permits in the state?
some of the same people.
Same people?
Mhm.
Just
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah, so. we keep-
Wicked Licks, is that,
She's
Gonna
reopened on May 3rd.
okay.
Mhm.
And I think that's it.
Great. Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else, Jane? or-
That's all I have.
Okay. Anyone else have any old and new business? One thing I would like to point out is tomorrow evening, we have the public
I forgot
hearing
about that,
at
yes.
6:30 in the town hall for the community-wide historic preservation plan. And of course, it's something that, boards and committees as well as the public will be hopefully more aware of the historical assets we have in the community. And when the opportunity comes up to enhance them or preserve them, we'll have kind of a guideline to be able to look at and use. So we're very
So what is tomorrow? It's a public hearing to do what?
go over the public, the plan, and also provide input from the public.
Yeah, on the draft historic preservation plan. So our consultants will be there, and they'll go over their findings from the surveys and the work that they've done with the Historic Commission to prepare the plan. Give some highlights, I think. I think they're going to talk about their recommended goals and strategies for the town, so.
And that was what time tomorrow?
6:30.
Great, thank you.
Yep, good.
And is this the first time meeting for such a,
Well, we've had meetings
Assumption?
with them over the past, several months.
I mean,
but
historically, our town hasn't had that.
We have
No.
not had a historic preservation plan before.
Ah,
No, we
okay.
got the grant last year
Yeah.
through Gene's efforts, very long drawn-out efforts to get the
Yeah.
grant.
Okay.
It's been a rough
And
one.
also, community preservation funds helped us with it as well, so that was very
Yeah.
good, too. But we're looking forward to having this, and so this will be an opportunity to learn more about the plan and also provide input for the public, beyond what we did in the survey and so forth.
Mhm.
And again, it'll be hopefully a working tool the town will be able to use and really make our historical assets more public and more available and more, people understand what they really are.
Mhm. I think also education,
Yeah,
to educate people about what it takes to put a property on the register or something like that, so.
very good. Okay, anything else? If not,
Thank you.
I'll motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Thank you all.
Okay.